Happy New Year to you and yours. Welcome to 2024. Like we believe in Africa, it is a privilege we must never take for granted. The new year signals new beginnings, new hopes, and new aspirations for many. Determination, commitment, and, where necessary, strategy are however required to achieve them. Here at the NTA, we also have aspirations for organization and country. And so on this edition of Dateline 360, we prospect in major sectors of the economy. I am Motola Mojala. Thanks for joining us. January ushers in a new year in the widely used Gregorian calendar, and the new year reinvigorates hopes, aspirations, and promises. Placing the Gregorian calendar side by side with others as used by people of different backgrounds and beliefs, correspondent Shola Wahid explores the significance from religious and social perspectives.
The Gregorian calendar, which begins on the first day of the month of January and ends on the 31st of December, is associated with a beehive of activities within the year which bring the people together. The last day of the year, which is also the day of the crossover night, features Christians praying fervently for a blessed new year. At the first day of each year, it is common to see people making New Year resolutions irrespective of religion to provide clarity of goals by listing them to provide direction.
Before, I used to get angry, and which I have been trying to control myself, and I've not been doing that, and I believe that I will continue to control myself more and more, and I will stop it finally.
There are times that I've made resolutions and I later did not follow them up, maybe because I wasn't disciplined enough. So what I would just advise everyone who is watching me is to just set in your mind to be disciplined.
I try to further my education by this year, from January to now. So everything proved abortive, and I hope and I wish God to send the power.
This year I want to try by all means, try all what I can do to invest much into agriculture.
Although there are many religions in the world with unique yearly calendar, the Gregorian calendar is mostly used by the Western world today, Africa inclusive. It is used for religious, academics, social, cultural, and festive periods.
A clergy, Bishop Timothy Adewole, explained that there are some notable days in the Christian calendar that socially unite the people all over the world, especially Christmas and the New Year.
The businessmen follow the Gregorian calendar with 12 months. And when you look at it, it's very, very important in the life of every man that is focusing on a particular thing. It becomes a compass, a pivot upon which people's life rotates. The notable dates among them we have, starting from New Year, January 1. Gregorian calendar is what we use in the church to calculate the Lenten season, the Lenten period. And that is why, by the grace of God this year, the Easter will come earlier than last year. It's going to be March this year, by March ending. Unlike previous time when it may be 15th, depending on calculation from the Gregorian calendar.
An Islamic scholar, Professor Lanre Badmos, highlighted the similarity in the Islamic calendar known as Hijra and the Gregorian calendar towards enhancing unity and love in the world.
In our own calendar, we have two major festivals. The first one is the celebration of Eid al-Fitr, the one that marked the end of fasting. The second major festival is Eid al-Kabir, the one that usually takes place after Arafat. Now, but there are other celebrations. There's a difference between festivals and celebration. There are other celebrations. First, we have the celebration of Hijra itself on the first day of Muharram of a new year. And that's why we have the assemblage.
People are, however, admonished to use the Yuletide period to do the needful towards having a sustainable society.
There are a lot of blood shed in this country. Too much. The government should checkmate it. The people should be forthright. They should run away from sin. They should serve the Lord. With regard, I don't know any religion that advocates killing.
We appeal to them to change their attitude of being very, very harsh to their fellow human beings, to stop man in humanity to man.
Pastors, the evangelists, the church leaders, that at the end of every quarter, they should begin to remind our people about the resolution they made when they were entering the year, or at the end of the month.
Festivals, irrespective of religion and cultural backgrounds, provide people the opportunity to bond together. Shola Wahid, reporting for Dateline 360.
A renewed hope. 2024 will be a better Nigeria for all Nigerians out there.
For the people of Nigeria, it's going to be a different year. That's why the challenge we pass through in 2023 is going to be a totally different year. And we pray it's going to be a success for every one of us.
2023 was an amazing year for me, and I hope for a better 2024.
My name is Happy Salim. I want to be happy. My name is I want to keep bad energy away from me. Yes. And I want to be a better version of me now.
I feel like we should be positive, and be hopeful that things are going to be better.
We should follow the precepts of God and help our fellow Nigerians to know the precepts of God, the precepts of love for one another.
We call upon all Nigerians to walk in the path of peace.
2024, there's going to be a great super abundant.
The Nigerian economy experienced transition in the year 2023. Political and economic policies targeted at economic growth were evident in reforms, petrol subsidy removal, unification of exchange rate, dotted by rise in inflation rates. Business and economic correspondent Bosede Ebo reports that policymakers believe that with strategic actions, the prospects for economic prosperity are high in 2024.
It's a new year and a new beginning for the Nigerian economy, with an all-time inflation high and the surge Nigeria witnessed in its inflation rate from 27.33% in October 2023 to 28.20% in November 2023. The National Bureau of Statistics, in its November Consumer Price Index report, says the figure presents the 11th time hike in Nigeria's inflation headline inflation rate in 2023. To tackle these, experts are of the opinion that government has a fundamental role to sustain the naira and encourage local production so as to boost the economy. The managers of the nation's economy are also to consider economic policies that can be pursued in 2024 economic recovery.
The rising prices is seasonal. Having said that, that doesn't change the fact that we've had inflation rates of the average of over 13% for the last 20 years, but in recent times we've actually hit 28%. Clearly the 28% in this circumstance that we're in now is driven by the reforms we're undergoing, the spike in oil prices and what have not. So yes, it's unusual times for Nigeria. Yes, there's a huge burden on the family in Nigeria. I mean, people have to change their ways, cut their means of livelihood.
With President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive on the implementation of all recommendations on the Quick Win report by the Presidential Committee across ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government, policymakers in action are moving towards the route of economic recovery.
We are thoughtful with respect to what we bring out. And two, something that I've mentioned before, is that we're taking a very comprehensive look at all the different policies that have come out from the central bank over a period of time to see how we can harmonize them and come out with an elegant document that really states what is required from start to scratch. So it's clear to all concerned as to how to play that market. Of course, importantly, the 43 items that, and this was spoken about earlier, that we've come out and, taken away from the ambit of the central bank, because as far as we're concerned, that really Trade policy has nothing to do with us, and I'm very, very pleased that it has had a very positive impact. I was very happy to hear the 1.3 million people that are potentially lifted out of poverty as a result of this.
Painfully, Nigeria has been a monoproduct dependent exporter for a long time. And that's actually one of the main focus and crux of the current administration, focusing on how to boost and revamp non-oil exports, boost industrialization, and create jobs. Now, if you're looking at, so for non-oil exports, you can categorize them anyway. You can say you have finished products, and you can say you have raw materials for exports or talent exports. So we categorize them in this way. So we have consistent raw material exports. We realize that the value addition to those raw materials provide us more FX revenue. So now the administration is now focusing on processes or policies that will help to facilitate the creation of industries that will add value to our raw materials.
What I ask us to point to and look at and focus on is the direction in which things are going. The fiscal deficit, which leads to borrowing by the government, whether through the domestic markets, the debt management office DGs here, or whether the resort at times, as you mentioned, to ways and means, is a function of the fiscal deficit. Under the 2024 appropriation bill, the fiscal deficit is due to come down to 3.8% from over 6%. So that shows that whatever the levels of borrowing are, they are being reduced. And there is a plan to reduce that fiscal deficit over time. The 2024 appropriation bill, or 2024 is the first year of the first full budget of this government. On the revenue side, clearly, if you need to spend, which the government does, the government needs to spend even more than it does. What it spends as a proportion of GDP is much lower than in our African peers, not to talk of in the developed world, where government spending as a proportion of GDP goes as high as 50-60%. But if you're going to do that, you need revenue.
As vital reform decisions have been taken for Nigeria to avoid fiscal cliff, experts are of the opinion that successful implementation of the initiated reforms will be the first step towards improving Nigeria's growth prospects in 2024. Boss said they able for Dateline 360.
Thanks, Bosse, for that perspective. We can only hope for the best. The centerpiece of the Nigerian economy presently is oil and gas, and we all know that Nigeria will do better if we can curb the activities of vandals and get all the refineries up again. Looking at the mechanical completion of the Port Harcourt refinery, energy correspondent Lydia Sampson reports that it is seen as a significant step in enhancing Nigeria's domestic refining capacity and reducing reliance on imported fuel. The successful implementation of the refinery upgrade, she says, is projected to have positive impacts on the country's economy, energy, security and infrastructure development.
A functional refinery contributes to economic growth by providing jobs, attracting investment and fostering industrial development.
The mechanical part is completed, and this is the beginning of, the completion of not just this Port Harcourt refinery, phase 1 and 2, but the one for Warri and then the one in Kaduna. So that we'll be able to benefit from this massive investment that the country has made. So I want to congratulate the NPT team. I want to congratulate Nigerians for being patient, with us. And I can assure you that we expect a very, very prosperous 2024.
Equally to LPG users, that as the refinery commences after Christmas, we'll have a sufficient supply of LPG, which will automatically reduce the import at that level. So it is something to celebrate.
our staff are extremely determined to deliver on this project. It's a matter of emotion for very many of our staff in this company. It is promise fulfilled. We are done with the phase 1. We will complete the phase 2 as we promised within 2024, maximum the last quarter of 2024. And this value will continue to be seen in our country.
Indeed, the excitement in the industry for a more viable downstream sector is palpable. This is because with the refinery operational, the Nigerian government can potentially lower fuel prices, benefiting consumers and businesses alike. The refinery's restart is expected to support the development of related infrastructure such as pipelines, storage facilities and distributions network, further enhancing the country's energy capabilities across the value chain.
The removal of the fuel subsidy is good because we have to cut our cut according to our cloth. That is the meaning of the oil subsidy, so that we live in a realistic world. I'm happy that the government are doing whatever they can do to make sure that things work out well for all Nigerians.
Experts are unanimous that as the project moves forward, it is crucial for the government and NNPC Limited to address any remaining challenges and ensure the refinery reaches its full operational capacity as soon as possible. Similarly, the federal government's resolve to deepen natural gas commercialization and utilization is a major policy thrust that experts reiterate will position Nigeria for global competitiveness as a gas country. This is more so as natural gas is renowned as cleaner fuel, preferred as a transition fuel that will usher Nigeria to net zero emission.
That the coming year will be very eventful in terms of production of petroleum products in this country. So meaning, of course, that there will not be any need for further importation. We expect that all these changes is for the good of the country. And we believe all these changes that Mr. President has brought, of course, will take us to a better 2024. So we hope that we will have a better time in the coming year.
Following the removal of subsidy on petroleum, government is also providing compressed natural gas resources as cheaper alternative to petrol. President Bola Tinubu established a presidential initiative on CNG with CNG conversion centers across the country.
We have set for ourselves very clear targets in the next few years. We're looking to develop about 37 LCNG facilities across the country with a target of 1 per state. In the first instance, is to put a few in each geopolitical zone. One of such is going to be developed and launched by NNPC in the next 6 months. Commitments from them is very firm. We're looking to have 2,322 CNG filling stations across Nigeria in order to bridge this gap in the next 4 to 5 years.
Optimism is high in the industry for 2024 and beyond as the impact of the game-changing initiative by government in the sector continues to unfold. Key players are optimistic that Nigeria will become an oil and gas investment hub across the value chains. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson.
There's so much money here. Just find out something to do and be committed to that thing and be consistent with that thing, you will win.
I want to contribute my own quota to the Federal Republic of Nigeria for my country to be a very better place.
A better Nigeria is us. So I feel we should all join hands together, help Mr. President, help the government to have a better country by the grace of God.
I believe in growth in myself in 2024 by God's grace. So in 2024, I also believe I pray for Nigeria to be more united than this, and let's be one nation and push the nation forward by God's grace.
A healthy nation, they say, is a wealthy nation. And access to healthcare is also a fundamental human right, impacting on the overall well-being of people. Health correspondent Uche Ogochukwu reports that ensuring quality healthcare for all remains a complex challenge that requires multifaceted approach to tackle, particularly with growing brain drain in the sector. In our next report, she explores the state of healthcare in the country, the challenges and plans to boost human and technical resources for better healthcare delivery in the country.
The world is changing in basic ways that have profound implications for human health and well-being. Given this, it becomes crucial to build equitable and resilient health systems that give access to health for all, as the World Health Organization demands. Nigeria, irrespective of efforts to improve the healthcare system, has faced an increased rate of brain drain, which the search for greener pastures and insecurity were said to be major pull factors, and patients bear the brunt.
When I took my son to the hospital, was the one going up and down, calling, shouting, before I could get a doctor to attend to my sons.
When you go to government hospital, they will tell you you didn't come on time, that the doctors have gone. You would have come in the morning.
To tackle the challenge of out-of-pocket and the impact of high costs of medication in the country, the National Health Insurance Authority launched the Medicine Supply Initiative to rebrand drugs and partner pharmaceutical companies for reduced prices, among others.
We are doing everything through accreditation, quality assurance, to ensure that the best quality of care is provided.
Stakeholders, however, suggest more needs to be done.
Nigeria need to make sure that we put in place mechanisms where some of the regulatory procedures do not become bottlenecks, so that when they ship, for instance, vaccine in country, they are readily distributed to those who need them.
As well, we need to strengthen the system. We need to be able to have enough nurses, doctors, community health workers to be able to deliver the services.
These numerous challenges Nigeria is experiencing in the health sector are, however, already being addressed by the current administration, especially with the unveiling of the Nigeria Health Sector Renewal Investments Initiative.
What are we doing about the biggest crisis that we have today? Human resource for health. This year alone, we will double the number of admissions in all our health-related fields of study. By the end of 2024, we'll be enrolling 200,000 nursing students every year in a nursing school. As we strengthen our healthcare system, improve our infrastructures, get new equipment in, a better welfare package in terms of salary and other benefits to our healthcare workers.
What should Nigerians expect going forward?
What Nigerians can expect is that as a national primary healthcare agency, we're going to take components of this that really will reinvigorate the primary healthcare system, and you can expect better services, you can expect more equitable and better quality provision of services at our primary health centers across the country.
We have a four-plan, Marshall Plan, to reform, rejig, and revamp our healthcare system so that it will deliver for our citizens in a nice way, where our citizens will get the same level of healthcare that it's comparable to what you get in a Western world.
The strong political will demonstrated at the moment underscores other key actors playing their parts towards the actualization of improved quality, accessible and affordable healthcare in 2024 and beyond. Uche Ugochukwu, reporting for Dateline 360.
Thanks for sharing the last half hour with us. It is a new year with new promises. Don't forget to make each moment count for good. May God bless you and bless Nigeria.